Own a house like your sister?" My mom's voice sliced through the kitchen like a knife. She leaned back in her chair, sipping her coffee with that smug little grin that always made my stomach churn. Beside her, my sister Allison smirked, flicking her perfect manicured nails against her phone screen. "She'll be broke forever, Mom. Look at her, she can barely keep herself afloat." Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation. Be honest. Tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. The air was thick with their laughter. They didn't even try to hide it. My chest burned, but I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. Instead, I smiled. A quiet, deliberate smile that made Allison glance at me twice. She didn't understand it. Neither did my mom. I held their gaze for a beat longer than usual, then stood, pushing my chair back with calm precision. "Thanks for the reminder," I said softly, my tone so steady it caught them off guard. "I'll remember this moment." I walked out, leaving their laughter echoing behind me. But inside I was shaking, not with weakness, but with the kind of fire that builds in silence. The kind that waits for the right moment to strike. Days turned into weeks. They didn't know the calls I made, the hours I worked, the deals I pushed through. They didn't know the nights I collapsed on my bed, exhausted but determined. They thought I was still struggling, still lost in their shadow, until the night my phone buzzed with an unknown number and the realtor's voice said, "Congratulations. The keys are yours." I drove straight to the house, heart pounding as I pulled into the driveway. It wasn't just any house. It was everything they said I'd never have. White siding, black shutters, a wide porch with a swing. It stood there, solid and untouchable, like proof carved into wood and stone that I was not who they thought I was. I pressed my palm against the front door and whispered, This is mine." 2 weeks later, I was cooking dinner when my phone rang. Allison, then Mom. Both, one after the other, missed calls, then another. And then the sound of a car outside. I glanced through the blinds, and there they were, standing in my driveway, eyes wide, mouths half open like they'd seen a ghost. My phone buzzed again. This time I picked it up. Their voices spilled through the line, desperate, confused. "Is this really your house?" Mom's tone cracked, disbelief dripping through every syllable. "Why didn't you tell us?" Allison's voice was sharper, almost angry. I looked at the screen, typed slowly, deliberately. 4 words. "Get off my property." And when I hit send, I swear I felt the weight of years lifting from my shoulders. The text hung on my screen like a loaded weapon. "Get off my property." For a moment, silence swallowed everything. Even the ticking clock in my kitchen seemed to freeze. Then my phone buzzed again, angry, frantic messages pouring in. "Rachel, this isn't funny." My mom, Diane, wrote, "Open the door. We need to talk," Allison demanded. I didn't move. Instead, I stood at the window, arms folded, watching them shift nervously in my driveway. The same driveway they swore I would never own. The porch light illuminated their faces. Faces I once longed to impress, to earn approval from. But tonight, their confusion was sweeter than any approval could ever be. Finally, I stepped outside. The night air was cool, sharp, wrapping around me like armor. I didn't slam the door. I didn't storm down the steps. I walked slow, controlled, deliberate, because real power doesn't scream. It whispers. Allison crossed her arms. "So it's true. You really bought this place." She spat the words out, like admitting it left a sour taste in her mouth. Diane's eyes narrowed. "How, Rachel? Tell me the truth. Did you get lucky? Did some man pay for this?" That was the sting I'd expected. Her old favorite weapon. Reduce me. Shrink my success into something I couldn't possibly have earned. I met her gaze, my voice low but steady. "No, Mom, no one gave me anything. I worked, I built. And I didn't need your approval to do it," Allison scoffed. "Please, don't act like you're suddenly better than us. You're still the girl who begged for rides, who borrowed money and never paid it back. Don't forget who you really are." her words sliced because they came from the same script she'd always used, reminders of my lowest moments. But tonight, the difference was glaring. I wasn't standing in her shadow anymore. I was standing on my porch. "You're right," I said softly, almost kindly. I was that girl. But I'm not anymore. And that's what you can't handle, Allison. You can't stand the idea that I changed while you stayed the same. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't answer. Diane finally stepped forward, her voice cracking, softer now. "Rachel, we're family. You can't just shut us out like this. This house, it's too big for you alone. Don't you want us here? That word, family. The one they always weaponized. Family when they wanted something. Family when they needed to pull me back into submission. But where was family when they laughed at me? When they doubted me? When they shoved my dreams into the dirt?" I took a slow breath, the kind that steadied my fire. "You want the truth, Mom?" "No, I don't want you here. Not after everything you've said, everything you've done. This house is my proof that I don't need your pity, your approval, or your permission. And I'll never let you tear it down." For a moment, the night was still. Then Allison's face twisted, desperate, furious. "You think this makes you someone? You think a house makes you powerful?" I smiled again, that same calm, unsettling smile that had rattled her weeks ago. "No, not the house. The fact that I did it without you." Diane's eyes shimmered. Anger or shame, I couldn't tell. She opened her mouth, but no words came. The silence between us stretched until I broke it with the simplest, sharpest line I'd ever said to them. "Now, get off my property." Their faces froze. Diane looked like she'd swallowed glass. Allison's hand twitched, like she wanted to slap the smirk off my face. But she didn't dare. Not here, not now. They turned slowly, reluctantly, walking back to their car. The slam of doors echoed through the quiet street, and the engine roared to life. But before they drove off, Allison lowered her window, eyes blazing. "This isn't over, Rachel. Don't think you've won." I stepped back onto my porch, lifting my chin. "It already is." The car sped away, red taillights bleeding into the dark. I stood there for a long moment, breathing in the night, the weight finally gone. Inside, the house felt different. Warmer, brighter, like it had absorbed my victory. I sank into the couch, exhaustion mixing with adrenaline. My hands shook not from fear but from release. For the first time in years, I wasn't trapped by their voices. I wasn't the broken one anymore. And deep down, I knew this wasn't just about the house. It was about reclaiming every part of me they tried to destroy. But I also knew Allison. And her last words echoed like a warning. This isn't over, and if she wanted to test me, if she wanted a war, then maybe, just maybe, I was ready for it. Allison's warning, "This isn't over," echoed in my head like a storm brewing on the horizon. I knew her too well. My sister never handled losing with grace. She wasn't just bitter. She was dangerous in her own quiet, manipulative way. 2 days later, I found out just how far she was willing to go. It was a Saturday morning. The sun poured through my windows, and for the first time in a long while, I felt peace. I was unpacking a box in my living room when my phone buzzed, this time with a call from my boss. My stomach tightened. "Rachel," he said carefully. "I need to ask, is everything okay?" "Of course," I replied, confused. "Why?" He hesitated, then sighed. "Because I got an email this morning. Someone sent anonymous messages claiming you lied on your resume, that you faked projects, that you're using questionable money to buy a house." The room spun. My grip on the phone tightened. "That's not true," I snapped, heat rising in my chest. "I know it's not," he said firmly. "Your work speaks for itself. But Rachel, whoever sent this, it was detailed. Personal. Someone's trying to hurt you. I didn't need to guess who." My blood went cold, then hot with fury. Allison. After hanging up, I sat in silence, pulse racing, mind spinning. She wasn't just mocking me anymore. She was trying to ruin me. I stared out the window at the neighborhood I'd worked so hard to join, and for the first time I saw shadows in every corner. Not from strangers, but from family. That afternoon, my mom called. When I ignored the first 2 rings, she sent a message. "We need to talk about Allison. She's upset. Don't be cruel, cruel." That word made me laugh bitterly. They called my silence cruel, but Allison's sabotage was just her being upset? I didn't respond. Instead, I drove. My hands gripped the wheel tighter than I realized, knuckles pale as I headed straight to Allison's condo. When she opened the door, her smirk was waiting, like she'd been rehearsing it. "Rachel," she drawled, leaning against the frame. "To what do I owe the honor?" "You know why I'm here," I snapped, stepping inside without invitation. The emails, the lies. Was it worth it? She didn't flinch. She didn't deny it. She actually laughed. "Oh, come on. Don't act like you're some victim. You think buying one house makes you queen of the world?" I had to remind people who you really are. "You're nothing, Rachel. Always have been. Always will be." Her words were poison, each syllable designed to strip me down. But this time the venom didn't sink in. I leaned closer, my voice low, steady. "You had your chance to keep me small. You lost, and now? Every move you make just proves you're terrified that I've outgrown you." Her eyes narrowed. "Careful. You think you're strong, but one mistake and it all crumbles." I held her gaze, fire in my chest. "Then watch me build it back stronger. Because you can't destroy me anymore, Allison. You can only expose yourself." The days that followed were tense. I went to work expecting whispers, side glances. But instead, I found the opposite. My boss called me into his office, his expression firm but supportive. "We looked into everything," he said. "Rachel, not only were the accusations false, but your performance has been exemplary. You're being considered for promotion." Relief crashed over me so hard I had to grip the chair to steady myself. "Thank you," I whispered. He gave me a look, one that said he knew someone was trying to tear me down. Sometimes the people closest to us want us to fail the most. Don't let them. His words burned into me. That night, sitting on my porch swing, I realized something. I didn't just have a house. I had a life worth protecting. And Allison? She was losing her grip. Sure enough, 2 evenings later, she and my mom showed up again. Their car rolled into my driveway like a threat. This time, I didn't wait. I stepped outside before they even reached the door. "Rachel," Mom said, her tone shaky, almost pleading. "You need to stop this fight with your sister. She's hurting. You should forgive. Forgive." The word made my jaw clench. Forgive the lies? The sabotage? The years of humiliation? Allison crossed her arms, her smirk weaker now but still clinging. "We're family. We'll always be tied together. You can't just cut us out." I stepped closer, every word deliberate, sharp as glass. "You're right. We'll always share blood. But family isn't blood. Family is respect. Family is love. And you've never given me either." Diane blinked, shocked by the firmness in my tone. Allison scoffed, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of fear that her control was slipping for good. I took a deep breath, my heart steady. "So listen carefully. You don't get to walk into my life, my home, and dictate terms anymore. This is mine. My choice, my peace. And if you can't respect that, then yes, I'll cut you out. For good." The silence that followed was deafening. Diane's lips trembled, torn between defending Allison and realizing the truth. Allison just stood there, pale under her defiance. Finally, I said it again. The line that had become my shield, my victory. "Now get off my property." And this time, they didn't argue. The night after I told them to leave, I thought it was over. I thought my words had finally driven the point home. But Allison was like a shadow, always lurking, always plotting. And when people like her feel powerless, they get reckless. 3 days later, I woke to the sound of tires screeching outside. I threw on a sweater and stepped onto the porch, heart pounding. Allison's car sat in my driveway again, headlights glaring. She was pacing by the hood, phone in hand, fury written all over her face. The sight almost made me laugh. After everything, she was still here, still clawing for attention. Allison! I called out sharply. What now? She spun on her heel, eyes blazing. You think you've won, don't you? You think buying this house makes you untouchable? You humiliated me. You embarrassed Mom. You made us look like fools. I folded my arms, my voice calm, steady. I didn't have to make you look like anything. You did that all on your own. Her lips trembled, anger spilling over. You'll regret this. I'll make sure you do. The threat hung in the air, sharp as glass. But I didn't flinch. I stepped off the porch, closing the space between us until I could see the cracks in her mask. No, Allison. I regret nothing. You've spent your life tearing me down, and for once I stood up. That scares you, doesn't it? That I don't need your approval anymore. Her jaw clenched, but I kept going, my voice gaining strength with every word. You wanted me to fail so you could stay on top. But here's the truth. You're drowning, Allison. Drowning in bitterness, in envy. And all I had to do was stop giving you power. For the first time, she had no comeback. Just silence. That's when Mom's car pulled in behind her. Diane stepped out, her face pale, almost fragile. She looked at me, then at Allison, and something inside her seemed to break. Enough! Diane's voice cracked through the night. I can't do this anymore. Rachel's right. We've treated her like she was nothing. We laughed at her, doubted her. And now she's standing here stronger than either of us. Allison's eyes widened, betrayal flashing across her face. Mom! But Diane cut her off, tears brimming. No, Allison. You've crossed every line. Sending lies to her boss? Trying to ruin her? That's not family. That's cruelty. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. My chest tightened, not with anger, but with something deeper. A grief for the family I never really had. I swallowed hard, my voice low. You always told me I'd never own a house, never have a future. But look around. This house isn't just walls and a roof. It's proof that I built something without you. And the best part? I don't need your approval to keep it. Diane looked down, shame etched into her face. Allison, though, turned red with rage, clinging to her last weapon, her pride. You'll regret cutting us out, she hissed. One day you'll come crawling back. I shook my head, firm and unyielding. No, that was the old me. The one who begged for scraps of love. The one who believed every cruel word. That Rachel is gone. And if you can't accept who I am now, then I don't want you here. I stepped back onto my porch, gripping the railing as if anchoring myself to this new life I'd carved out of nothing. My voice carried across the driveway, sharp, final. Get off my property. This time there was no hesitation, no threats. Just silence as Allison's fury crumbled into something uglier, defeat. She climbed back into her car, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. Mom lingered for a moment, her eyes heavy with regret before following. Their cars rolled down the street, disappearing into the night. I stood there long after they were gone, the cool air wrapping around me. My chest ached, not from weakness, but from release. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the girl they mocked, the one they pitied, the one they underestimated. I was the woman who proved them wrong. Inside, the house felt brighter, alive with the hum of possibility. Every box I unpacked, every picture I hung was a declaration. I built this. I earned this. This is mine. And though part of me grieved the family I wished I'd had, the rest of me knew the truth. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't revenge. It's peace. I sat on the porch swing that night, the stars glimmering above, and whispered to myself the 4 words that had set me free. Get off my property.